Unapologetic Americans.
It's your man B Money back at you for another week of Unapologetic Americans. Is with me always my main man Mad Chad. How we doing this week?
Dude, I'm all gimped up this week.
Yeah, we're third week of videoing. This is only our third week. People seeing you with a sling on. You want to fill us in?
Yeah, man. My wife, or actually Brandon, twisted my arm and made me drink a beer with him. So that's what happened there. No.
Don't say no next time.
Yeah, I won't say no next time. So that's easy peasy. And you don't have to have surgery that way. But yeah, so it's been a long week for me, but it's a good week. I'm happy to be here. And actually, I feel like I have more mobility this week than I did last week. So that's great.
Amazing. Great. We have a special guest tonight. We're going to get to her in a minute, but we have Ms. Shannon Lott with us from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, great. We got a ton of questions for you, the most we've ever had sent in for a guest, just so you know. No
Okay.
pressure, no pressure at all. But hopefully you got the study guide in front of you. But we got a few things to get out of the way first. We got to get our sponsors out of the way.
Right.
I've got Narski's Meat Market at 2320 M33 in Alger, Michigan. Went there this weekend. Again, I love that place. Oh, the smell of the meat market when you walk into. It's just there's something with the salts and everything in there. They do a great job with a lot of smoke.
They get so much good food there.
They have a Reuben brat there, which is to die for.
And they say that like the people travel all over for that one.
That Reuben brat's money.
Guys from Flint
They were actually out of them this weekend because they sell so quick. So I made a little deal with them. Like you got to hold, at least six of them for me.
You think
every
maybe
other
they,
week.
do you think maybe they'd do some Reuben brats if we took some venison up there?
With the venison?
Yeah,
I mean, they'd have to cure it. I don't know if it's going to taste the same as the regular corned beef they put in there, but
Why would it taste the same?
the funny part, I was cooking and I had a guest come and they were thoroughly cooked, but they're pink because it's corned beef on the inside.
Yeah.
And the guy kept telling me it was raw. And I'm like, dude, these just taste it. It says the Reuben brat. That's
I don't
corned
know
beef.
that I
That's
like
why it's
that.
pink.
So this week I have, because they're on for the long sponsorship right now, Financial Plus Credit Union out of Flint, Michigan.
New regulars. I
New
love
regulars. Just because they're going to make a huge donation to me later on in life for the old newsboys of Flint, for the boys at Christmas time, the girls and boys and girls that don't have a Christmas, they're going to have one because I keep throwing their name out there. But Financial Plus has agreed to make that donation, and I'm going to agree to keep giving plugs. So thank you, Financial Plus Credit Union.
Thank you, Financial Plus. And Spirit of the Great Lakes Tequila.
As always.
As always, best tequila on the market. Again, GreatLakesTequila.com. Go up, hit the orange buy now button. Plenty of product back in stock. They were out of stock last week. That's how good it was selling.
Well, I know that I went through 2/5 this weekend, so it was a long weekend, and I was hopped up on painkillers, so it was good. It was
Sounds
good
like a
weekend.
perfect combination. Real quick sports. I just got to point out, about 3 weeks ago, I pointed out I think the Tigers are going to win the division, and they are hot. They got rid of Struble, and the bats are hot.
0% chance of going any further than.
I'm not saying they're going to win the series.
you called it.
I said they're going to win the division.
FanDuel is just going to be pissed
And I'm
at you.
standing behind it.
Yeah,
I'm standing
I don't
behind.
know how many of our listeners actually, bet with things you say, but
They
pretty
shouldn't.
good.
They shouldn't. This
No.
is not a gambling hotline.
No.
But I'm standing behind it, and they're making me look like I know what I'm talking about. You a baseball fan, Shannon?
Yeah, Tigers, of course.
Yeah.
Hometown team. Yes, for sure.
So yeah, they're looking hot, and it's a weak division too.
Yeah.
It isn't like they have to go to the East and overcome the Yankees and the Rays and the Red Sox are hot. So
Right.
yeah, you got to get past Cleveland.
Can we get past sports now?
In
'Cause
Chicago.
I'm still depressed. We got rid of Scruple.
Well, again, it's working out so far. He also lost his first start for
Yeah.
the
well,
Dodgers.
Yeah. You know what? Screw the Dodgers, dude. They got $1 billion they can spend on their franchise. That's not even fair.
I think they're like 1-9 in their
Yeah,
last 10 games. So.
Yeah. But still,
I know.
they got all the money. I want the money.
Well,
I want to play with the money.
They're giving the money to their players to try to load the roster.
Oh, well, obviously. And it ain't working right now, but I'm guessing that here late October, that'll be the only team we talk about.
Yeah. So let's move on to Shannon.
I can't even look at Shannon with all the bucks in the
I know that's the thing.
She's buck Shannon. Anybody that's watching this.
Yeah, here we kind of set up and thought we had a nice
Yeah.
background, and she
Like I got nothing. I'm like just embarrassed is what I am.
Yeah, that's our collection, my husband and I. So a lot of Michigan Bucks there on the wall, but also some Kansas, Iowa, a couple other places we've gone. So yeah, it's a conglomerate of both of our collections. So I have some in my office at work because, of course, that's a great place for those too. So
I think coming on with that background just gives you instant credibility too. So with your
I'm
position,
listening. I need hunting tips. I need
Yeah.
it all.
We're gonna get into the tips
You
and techniques.
you and your husband
more.
looking to adopt? Move over, kids. Here's our 50-year-old son that just moved in. That's got carpal tunnel and a bad shoulder.
So my first question off the bat, and we'll revisit it later, is because there's a ton of questions. I think I told you we had more questions posed for this episode than any other one. Where is a good resource for Michigan hunters to go clearly find the rules and regulations? Could you just provide that resource? And then we're going to get into some of the specific questions.
Sure. The number one spot that you should go now is your phone. We have the Hunt Fish app, the DNR Hunt Fish app now, and you can load any of the digests there. You don't need internet. Once they're on your phone, they're there. So if you're in the hunting blind and you're like most folks, the night before you go get your license and grab a digest and then think you're going to try to read it opening morning, now you can do that on your phone. So that's the best option for right now. Of course, we do have it online as well if folks want to go to our website, michigan.gov/DNR, and we have specific deer pages, pretty easy to navigate to. And then the printed digest as well from licensed agents during the fall.
Okay. So Michigan's a pretty unique geographical state. You almost have two different worlds between the lower peninsula and the upper peninsula. Let's start broad strokes. How do you go into dissecting different parameters for hunting, different species based on the geographical difference between the two areas?
That's a great question. We get that question a lot. A lot of that starts with how our regulations are recommended from the field. So, of course, we have field biologists in different parts of the state. We do data collection and analytics on pretty much all of our species, but of course, heavy-to deer, bears, elk, a lot of the species that are mandatory harvest reporting, turkeys. And then those recommendations are taken from the field and put into a document with a formal recommendation to the Natural Resource Commission. And so the commission is made up of 7-member body appointed by the governor, but there are UP and UP, Northern Lower and Southern Lower commissioners, just to make that a better balanced group of folks that look at the recommendations statewide. And I'll tell you, it's one of those things that you really can't ever win, because in Southern Michigan, the deer abundance is, out of control. And we hear from farmers a lot about that issue. And then in the UP, it's tough when folks go through a deer season and they might not see a deer. So extremely different areas of the state.
So one of our questions I had is from a Lower Peninsula gentleman who has a UP hunting camp. And he was wondering on the rationale and shortening up the muzzle loading season. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, that was one of the commissioners thought that potentially creating a smaller window would concentrate people more to hunt during that time. And these days, there are a lot of people that have really limited vacation time. It's not necessarily like in the, the 50s and 60s, they might go up for 2 weeks, right? Well, now there's a limited time that most folks have, a lot of family obligations and, dads that coach and moms that, do that same thing as well. So they tried to look at seeing if concentrating that amount of days would have a better impact on the harvest there. And then also by concentrating the harvest, looking at how many deer are actually killed in high, mid, and low snowfall zones. So we look at all of those numbers as well in the Upper Peninsula. We want to make sure that we're looking at how many permits are issued for antlerless tags in those different zones. And based on that, how they would want to structure the buck season. So as you know, it was a lot of conversation this year on buck regs. So I'm sure we'll get into that, but that's one of the reasons they thought concentrating that would give people a little more opportunity, but also get us data quicker on a lot of these areas. We have real-time data now with the harvest reporting, within 72 hours, but we have a an online Power BI page that shows you real time what is being harvested throughout the state.
What do you see as the challenges in the UP? And again, we're probably going to talk mostly about deer hunting tonight because it's
Sure.
even though you guys cover, all forms of outdoor, but it seems to be what
Yes.
people are most passionate about. Plus, they're on my mind looking at your backdrop.
Right.
I'm dreaming of buck season, man.
The
Yeah.
population in the UP, you hear, rumors with the wolf population decimating it, especially, Western UP, mountain lions, things like that. What's the DNR's take on the Upper Peninsula population?
So we did have some cougar sightings this year. You probably saw the article where we had some cougar kittens on the west end there along the Wisconsin border. That was the first time in decades that there was ever reproduction documented. So we've known there's been transient cougars throughout the UP for several years, but the reproduction piece has been really evasive for us to even know if that's happening. A lot of the transient animals are males, so they might travel 1,000 to 2,000 miles, and they get in the UP, and of course they start bouncing off lakes, right? And it's hard to find a mate. So that was a big thing this year. We have, between probably 30 and 40 cougar sightings a year throughout the Upper Peninsula, mostly some northern lower once in a while, but that's getting higher and higher, I think, because the amount of trail cameras that are available now. So not only the hunters, but we have our own trail cameras now out, and that's for wolf abundance, moose abundance right now, some of the research that we're doing. And so that there are thousands of cameras now. So we're getting, I think last year we got about 10 million, a little over 10 million pictures from our cameras. And so we have an AI software that sorts through that. So a lot more cougar pictures, different wolf packs that we can track. So it's pretty interesting. And then the wolf population is the highest I've ever seen it. I used to work in the UP. By the way, it's my 30th year in DNR. So I have a big background in the field as well. Have a wildlife degree, bachelor's, and then I have a forestry master's. But some of my early work in the Upper Peninsula was on the moose and wolf surveys. So I was in our plains counting moose and doing population level surveys for moose. And we're doing some of that again with the current moose research that we have. But the wolf packs are more abundant than I've ever seen them. We have a little bit over 160 packs right now. And when we tell people that, they're just like, there's no
How many's
way.
in a pack?
Anywhere from 2 to 8 normally.
Okay. That's a lot.
But I mean, our last survey 2 years ago was well under that. So they're doing pretty well. Part of the issue you run into with that many packs, though, is you get a lot of competition. So there's obviously they're territorial and you get the packs fighting. And so at some point, if we're able to do some management of wolves outside of just, health and human safety, that could help some of that interpack relationship or negative relationships going on. They also have the pup survival isn't that great right now just because of lack of food in areas. We talked about the low deer population, and then that obviously competition among territories.
Do we ship those at all when you guys are tracking those herd or those packs? Do you guys ship those?
We have collars. So
Okay.
we actually, we have GPS collars, and we tried to get a collar in almost every pack, but as they got, upwards of over 100, it's a lot more difficult to keep track of every single pack. This is when, when I was there in the year 2000, forever ago, 26 years ago, we would fly in the plane and they were GPS collars with a signal. And that's how we would pick them up. The numbers, we would know on a sheet of paper, what signal we were getting, and that would tell us what wolf it is. Now the GPS collars are real time. So we get a reading like every 15 seconds of where they're at. We don't have to fly anymore.
Yeah.
So back to the cougars, the confirmed sightings in northern lower Michigan. So how do they get from, like you said, they're bouncing off lakes? How would they get? I mean, they're not buying a pass at the Mackinac
Right.
Bridge. If they are, I wonder what the fee is to get across with 2 axles, versus 8 axles versus 4 paws.
TSA ain't got nothing to do with that. I can't answer. I'm only up on their regulations.
What would the theory on the relocation geographically be?
I think that a lot of the southern Michigan cougars, like there's some here near me that have had sightings up near Bath, Michigan, like every 2 or 3 years, were potentially, we think, people brought in as pets and then ended up letting them go when they got too big. And so we just have some transient males that, again, even in this part of the state, will bounce off the Great Lakes. We did have, there was a transient cougar in Chicago, geez, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, got hit on the highway there, and they were trying to figure out if that was from a Michigan, dispersal, or the closest Western population is North Dakota. So if that came out of, well, part of South Dakota now, but North Dakota has a bigger population. So that's the closest.
Imagine driving through Chicago and running over a cougar on the highway.
Well, here's the
Right.
thing.
It's just,
I've been raising a cougar for the last 35 years. I got it when I was a kitten, turned into a cougar. She don't want to leave though. She's there. She's happy. She's home.
so, good. Thank you for those answers.
Yes,
So,
I like that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
so let's talk about the big hot button topic right now, the new $1 and clarification on what it is, because my understanding with what I follow was kind of going back and forth a little bit, and maybe some alterations. Can you shed complete clarity on where it stands
And
and
when's it start? When's it stop? And where are we at? That'd be the great, for everybody.
Sure. Sure. So in May and June, we did deer regulation recommendations through the Natural Resource Commission. They did opt to do a $1 state that will start in fall of 2027.
Okay.
So this year, status quo. It was funny, the day that was being voted on, I was watching the license numbers, and they took a break between noon and 1 for lunch after having discussion that morning and some presentations. And we sold over, I think it was between 10 and 11,000 deer licenses in an hour, because I think folks thought it was going to take effect this year, and they wanted if you got it, before they changed the buck tags, you'd get your combo with $2. So fall of 2027. The earn a second buck conversation is going to be voted on this week. So the next commission meeting is this Wednesday. It is live streamed on our YouTube channel if anyone wants to watch that. And you're right, it's kind of split right down the middle for folks that really wanted a $1 state and folks that didn't. So the commission, I think, tried to make the earn a second buck piece available for those who want to shoot $2. Now, if you look at our data, less than 6% of the people in the state, the hunters, kill $2. So, but those that do, may still want that opportunity. So the earn a second buck would be, you need to kill a doe in a particular county, and those counties are listed out in the presentation you'll see on Wednesday. And it's a pilot, so it's supposed to be a 5-year pilot, 5 counties where we want does killed to do earn a buck, and then 5 what we call control counties, which have the same type of habitat. And then we'll try to measure against that to see if earn a second buck actually has an effect on harvest.
so ultimately, what are we aiming to accomplish with the new regulations?
So I believe the commission thinks and believes that some of the earn a second buck opportunities could push people into harvesting does that don't generally harvest does. So there's kind of a mixed bag across the country of states that have tried this. Wisconsin tried it, Virginia, and Virginia, a lot less deer harvested there, so able to control the pilot a little bit better. Here, there's, we kill a lot of deer in Michigan, so it'll be interesting to see how many folks really utilize that earn a second buck. I think the $1 groups are, weren't real happy with that opportunity coming on. They really wanted to try at least for 3 years to have a $1 state and see how that changes the population as far as size structure. And obviously antlerless harvest too. If you have $1, you would think somebody would use their antlerless tag in their combo to harvest a deer, while they're in the woods trying to obviously go after their target buck. This is a similar regulation to Iowa. I would like $5 for the number of times I've had a hunter come up to me and say, I want Iowa regs. We want Iowa regs. So I've heard that a lot in check stations. I've worked over 30 years, and So this is similar to that, other than this earn a second buck opportunity could happen. It hasn't been voted on yet. It sounds like it's likely, but we never really know until that vote comes up. So what that would mean for next fall would be you'd have a combo license with a buck and a doe. And in order to unlock that second buck tag, you would have to harvest a doe in one of those 5 counties that's listed. They're all in Zone 3, Southern Michigan. And you would have to report that on the app. And there's a way we're going to turn on an option that will do that will then unlock your second buck tag. So those licenses will start to be sold March 1st, coming up here in the next, 8 months. So every March 1st is a new license year. So that's when you'll see that.
Okay, so there is a concentrated effort though on antlerless. That's part of the target of it, and then growing bigger racks, more mature racks. Has there ever been anything brought to the table, say during the youth hunt, of making that exclusively antlerless, or what would be the drawback to that?
Yeah, so 2 years ago that did happen. The commission voted to make it antlerless only from a lot of pressure
Oh, yeah.
from a lot of groups, and then again heard from the other side saying these are recruitment opportunities. If a kid sees a deer, they ought to be able to shoot, what they see and all of that. So ended up basically turning that back to bucks or does pretty readily after that decision was made. So that didn't last long. There was a lot of hunters, a lot of longtime hunters I heard from then that were very excited about the doe only hunts, but there's a lot of groups too that put on youth hunts throughout the state, and that was a kind of a big blow to them to tell kids that show up, well, you can only shoot a doe even though you're going to see bucks come by. So that was overturned and went back to what it had been for years.
I think what happens there though is you run into a lot of the dads in the area, the big proud dads that I see a kid that can't hold a rifle up, and then I see this monster buck, and you're like, holy shit, there goes my target buck. And
The neighbor kid shot the one.
neighbor kid shot it. Yeah, the 3-year-old next door that can't, and the dad's like, oh yeah, it was all him.
You don't believe it?
That's good job. I'm sure he's hooked.
Speaking of the youth hunt, though, I think it's great for recruiting future hunters. How are the numbers looking? I've read there's a decline in licenses sold. Where do we stand right now? And then what do you feel gets that number back up?
And youth licenses or overall licenses?
Overall licenses.
Overall. So over the last 10 years, you've probably heard we lose about 2% of our hunters a year. And yeah, a decade ago, we had, over 1 million hunters. We're a little over about 565,000 deer hunters. Now, total hunters with all species is still about 1 million, but for deer hunters, right around 560, I think last year, 560,000. So obviously that decline is, there's an age structure thing. I talked about the UP deer camps, and a lot of folks that are in the baby boomer age class, right, are aging out of the sport, and not as many kids are getting into it due to competing, priorities, I guess you could call it. Maybe it's sports or any other thing they're doing now, and electronics, right? So we've seen that in some of our youth programs that we do with partner organizations. If you really don't hook them by 3rd or 4th grade, which seems really young, they're already on to a target sport or a phone. And so we just last session, I don't know if you guys were tracking this, but we worked with Senator Bumstead to have Hunter Ed now be able to be taught in schools during phys ed class. So we're hoping that at the 4th grade level too, that will help to hook more kids at that age as well. So it is one of those things, there's no silver bullet. All states try many different things to recruit. It's actually easier to recruit people into fishing and then turn them into a hunter, to have them try different things, working on even getting outside and understanding places to go and public lands and things like that if they don't have their own land. So that seems to be the best way in most states to get more folks into the fold.
Yeah, no, it's I agree. You're competing, especially with the youth, and on a lot of other obstacles. And I love seeing it when the kids are outside and not sitting in on the phone or in front of some form of screen, and they need that. I feel. But let's talk about out of state hunters and making Michigan competitive. You know that they because I know that was a big thing. You'd see these hunting camps, and there's a group of guys from Ohio or Indiana, and it feels like that's gone away a lot. Am I correct on that? So what makes Michigan competitive again? What's your sales pitch to get out of state hunters back here? Because we have such unique geography here. They're missing out. But
Yeah.
what's your sales pitch on that?
Well, the biggest sales pitch for Michigan, I think, is the hunting heritage. So when you talk to people in other Midwest states, and I'm part of the Midwest directors, the 13 Midwest states here, they don't really have a hunt camp heritage. They don't really have, UP versus lower, drive up north to go hunt, all of those things that are 100-year heritage here in Michigan. So I like to tell people, just like you said, the geography is so different. You can get, and big agricultural buck if you want. You can go to northern lower and hunt swamps, get swamp buck, or you can go to the UP and in deep snow and trudge through cedar and in deer yards and other things. So there's a wide variety of ways to hunt. And I think that a lot of the collaboratives, I'm going to give a call out here, shout out to the Northwest 13, used to be Northwest 12, now they're Northwest 13, but in doing your own voluntary, let them go, let them grow, right? So there's been a lot of that in the last decade that I've seen in my job here, that we have surveys you can do through the commission that put those areas aside, and there's a process that the commission does for antler point restrictions. And so the Northwest 12 was successful in getting through that process in the commission realm to get that area set aside for antler point restrictions. So it's not everywhere in the state, but the areas that it is, and folks that have self-regulated, you see really good results. And so we're seeing that a lot more. And I think the numbers on public lands as far as hunters, because we're kind of down, the Michigan resident hunters are down so far, that the opportunity even for out-of-staters to utilize our public land is astronomical. A lot of people don't know this, but we have the largest state forest system in the country, 4.6 million acres. And, all the western forests that's all federal land, but Michigan has the largest state forest system in the country.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, obviously we have the most trails in the country to access. We have 14,000 miles of trails that you can utilize. 13,000 of that are forest roads that you can get to and from where you need to be. Huge access compared to like hunting in Canada, let's say, or something where you got to fly in, right? But you get that feel of that type of habitat by coming here. And, I think folks that want to be part of that heritage and teach kids how to go north or how to have that experience in a state that, instead of kind of going out sitting behind their house or something like that, just to have a hunt trip opportunity. Michigan's pretty cheap compared to a lot of the other states that even I hunt, for a deer tag for out of state and non-residents. So I would say give it a try. We've got all that public land, and then our game areas, our state wildlife areas, almost 1 million acres there, around 900,000 now for southern Michigan, mostly game area hunting. So a little bit different game areas versus state forest, but still all open hunting.
We'll get off deer hunting for a second. Probably not going to get into a lot of fishing, but what other species then are the next biggest behind deer hunting as far as licenses purchased that you see good opportunity for residents and non-residents?
Fishing is number one, obviously. We have the Great Lakes, largest freshwater system in the world. We have 52,000 rivers and streams here, 11,000 inland lakes. So this is my one bullet point for y'all, that it's easy to remember. You're never more than 6 miles from a lake, river, or stream. So fishing is the easiest way to start as a licensed buyer. And then, if you're under 16, you don't need to buy a license. So that alone gets you an opportunity to learn some things before you actually, if you want to decide to buy a license later. So fishing, it's $11 billion industry in Michigan with Great Lakes. So we stocked 22 million fish a year, roughly, give or take, each year. So it is, a world-class destination for folks that want to learn to fish. And that's, again, one of our easiest. And then after that, I think, we have quite a few waterfowl hunters. I say quite a few, like 35,000-ish. And then we have over 50,000 people normally that put in for either bear or elk draw. Obviously we don't issue that many licenses, but it shows you how many people want to participate in those species as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's good. The bear one, yes, my opinion for like what you see and what you hear goes out, I think has been managed very well as far as the number of applicants. I mean, they're not overpopulated.
We're all waiting. We're all waiting.
And I keep putting in for my points, so I'm trying to butter Shannon up a little bit. And
that pure Michigan hunt would be real nice, Shannon.
Oh yeah. Nice.
I put in for that every year too.
So let's talk a little bit. And for our listeners, I'm going to get to baiting.
Okay.
I will get to baiting in a second because everybody wants me to ask about it. We're going to get to it. But let's talk about the funding that the DNR brings in and what it's utilized for.
Sure. Thank you for that question. That's one thing I really wanted your listeners to hear. So a lot of people don't know this, but we are not funded by taxes. A lot of people are like, well, I pay your salary because I pay my taxes. Well, no, you don't. Not unless you buy a hunting or a fishing license, right? Or some type of license in our system. So our main thing, obviously our funding is broken up by different divisions. Obviously parks is sort of an anomaly. Those are camp nights and all of those things, and recreation passport that fund parks. Forestry is funded by our timber harvest. Again, we have the largest state forest system in the country, and we use that revenue to then go back and fund our foresters that put up timber each year to maintain a sustainable forestry system and help the forest products industry in Michigan. $26 billion industry, by the way, forest products industry here. So, and then our law enforcement is a conglomerate of a lot of different things. They do get a little bit of general fund, which is tax dollar for overall enforcement, because a lot of times we're the first on the scene at like an accident or a lost person.
Boating accident, yeah.
Boating, all kinds of stuff. We just found some lost tubers this past week too, on the Muskegon River. So we do get a little bit of general law, and then a lot of the game and fish money, which is hunting and fishing licenses. And then we get a little bit of federal money. So our game and fish we have to use that as match. They call it match for federal funds. So it's a 25% match. So if we can match 25% or more, there's federal funds for hunting, which is Pittman Robertson, and then for fishing, which is Dingle Johnson. Now those funds come from the sale of basically firearms and ammo or fishing rods, any tackle, anything that you kind of use for the sport, these type of sports, has an excise tax on it. And so that goes into a big pot at the federal level. And each state gets an allotment based on their geographic land base and the number of hunters. So there's a formula that they use. But the big key there is that if we don't have enough match money, which is our in-home, in-state game and fish revenue, then we can't maximize the amount that we pull from the federal government. So that's been a concern of mine for quite a few years now, specifically over the last 5 years with the significant loss of hunters here, that our revenue is dwindling fast. In addition to, the pandemic that hit, a lot of things tripled in cost just like it did for all of you, whether that's we were doing projects, maybe we're building a fishing pier or something. Well, 2x4s, went from $2 to $10. So my husband's a carpenter, so I heard all about it. You run the state forest, why can't you get more timber? But everything like just tripled all of a sudden. So a lot of people ask me like, well, where'd all my money go? I paid my license. Okay, you paid a $20 deer tag, let's say. Well, think about what you're paying in gas now, probably triple. So we haven't had a change in our license fee structure since 2014. So you think about if you were still trying to live off 2014 income, your salary, let's say, but everything tripled in price, then of course you buy less, you stock less fish, you have less staff. And so the services go down and people are just, you look at our overall budget number, which is about 560-ish million any given year, give or take 20 million. And people are like, that's a really big number. So where does all that go? Well, if you look at the Game and Fish Fund, wildlife gets, I think, around 14 million of that for game and fish. And then fisheries gets between 23 to 26 million on any given year. So for those two divisions, but people see a big number and they don't understand where the money goes the same place yours does. Our electricity has doubled in a lot of areas. We're trying to do solar arrays in some of our yards and rooftops to help offset that cost, because like our fish hatcheries, we have 6 hatcheries. That's 20% of the DNR's total energy portfolio, 6 buildings.
Wow.
It's just
Holy
unbelievable. So our revenue stream is, like anybody, you've got the number of those participating going down. You got inflation like this, right? So we've lost about 40% of our buying power from inflation over the last 5 years. And we have all kinds of charts and, that we've showed people. And I don't know if folks don't believe it, but once I've talked to a lot of people lately. We made some adjustments to our waterfowl managed areas recently because we don't have enough staff there. We've been holding positions to try to break even this year. So we have 23 vacancies just in wildlife division, and 8 of those are wildlife technicians, which if you've been to any of our managed areas, that's heavily the folks that run those areas. So not being able to hire has hurt us in obviously operations now. So, which we've tried for the last 5 years to not make it hurt, right? Let's keep doing as much as we can. But when you lose bodies, then it's like, and you can't replace them, you just are at a loss. You can't continue at the same. I do have one guy at each of those areas, but it's like, I can't work him. And we have 7 wetland wonders, by the way, managed areas. I can't work him 7 days a week, 2 draws a day. I just can't do that. Not allowed to do that. But so we're working through some things there on getting some philanthropy money to help in some of these situations right now until we can talk with the legislature about some changes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a change in license prices. We've talked with them about a conservation funding model like Missouri, where it's a little tiny percent of a sales tax, it might be 1/8 of a percent or half or even less. And you can then generate enough money to have a legacy, right? A conservation legacy, instead of every 10 to 12 years trying to do this. Now we got to jump $10, right? In a license.
Like borrowing steel.
Yes. So we're having those conversations now, which is good, but I hate to, in my 30 years, I haven't seen it like this bad. And I used to work some of those managed areas. So it was really hard for me to have calls with the field staff and talk about, the reductions we need to do until we have money to hire. And of course, I don't want to hire somebody, and I might have money this fall to get them through 2 months, but then I don't want to lay somebody off right after waterfowl season. So you kind of got to pick your battles on the monetary front. And there's a lot of things we have to pay, right? Statutorily, like we have to have an endangered species person that does those permits and those kinds of things. So yeah, I appreciate the funding question, because it's a national issue. Every single state deals with it. You probably saw Wisconsin just closed a fish hatchery and like everybody went bananas. But those are the things that happen. I mean, our fish food, I looked at it this morning because I had a meeting over at the legislature, and it tripled since 2021. So 5 years, tripled in cost. So we get fish food from Canada, only place that makes it right now for the whole country.
Is it the tariffs?
Tariffs.
Tariffs. So damn it.
The fish food, this is to feed the ones that you're having the hatchery getting ready to release.
Yes, the
Okay.
22 million. Yep. So, I'm at the point where I was talking to some of the legislators today, like I need to know now if we're going to even have money, if you guys are going to provide, any extra money for this tripling of costs. So, because I don't want them taking eggs in October that we're going to start to grow this winter and not have food by spring, like, because
Yeah.
the eggs all come in and then they go through all these stages. And so I'm like, I'm not going to have them take eggs. I can't do that if we're not going to have food for the fish. So that's just one example of many on the budget side.
I don't know how we got you, Shannon. I don't exactly know how we got the connection with you, but I'm so glad that we did because you're like just a wealth of information.
Well, yeah, and they're in a tough position because they're
Yeah,
a governing
I mean,
body and they take so much criticism, but there's such a need for it. So this is great to shed light
yeah,
on things.
no, it's like
But
there's
you
bigger.
guys have challenges. It's not like you're sitting there with a $5 billion bank account and just making it rain.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, that's good. I should have asked you this during the introduction. What's your official position with the
Oh,
DNR?
yeah. So I'm the deputy director for the department. So I'm the natural resource deputy. So we actually have two deputies. One is the admin deputy for finance, operations, marketing, and the history center we actually have in DNR. And then I have all the resource divisions, so all the fields. So I have forestry, fisheries, wildlife, parks, and law enforcement.
Okay.
Man, you know where all the deer
So you're wearing a lot of hats. You're wearing a lot of hats too.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. So I know one thing that the DNR does that I think is cool is habitat improvements, public
Yeah.
land, and I think you administer grants for private land as well. Can you touch on that a little bit, where that funding comes from and how that process works and what determines those initiatives?
Sure. So we have a couple different grant systems specific to fish and wildlife. So we have the habitat grants right now that are $1 off of the base license for wildlife and $1 off a fishing license go into a pot each year. It's around $1 million a year that come in from that, 1.1 some years. And so there's an application process folks can apply to for different fisheries habitat types. They might be in river or it might be cleaning riverbanks, all kinds of things. Structure removal might be a dam removal, or structure addition, which is tree roots, those kinds of things. And then on the wildlife side, we have the same grant program, but it's for wildlife habitat. And that generally goes to a lot of the big conservation groups that well. It could be Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, UP Whitetails, National Deer Association. So a lot of
Union Alliance.
those. What's that?
Union Alliance. That's what we work with in Flint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, though, with the budget cuts we're facing this October, starting this new fiscal year, October 1, we're going to have to cut those in half. So it'll be about 500,000 because that's game and fish money that we're putting out the door. And for us to pay just for the staff we have left right now, we got to make sure that we have that money available. One of the big things about grants or any type of fund source in DNR, they're what we call restricted. So if money comes in from a certain source, you can't use it elsewhere. So like I have people like, you got this huge budget, why don't you just, use your snowmobile money to run these waterfowl areas? Can't do that, right? That's a restricted fund. Snowmobile stickers are sold, that stays in the snowmobile program. ORV, same thing. Hunting, fishing, same thing. Parks money, got to use it on parks, can't use it on wildlife, right? So that's a big thing people need to understand. There's buckets of money and they're all restricted, right? It's not general tax money. It's not general fund dollars. You can't just use it wherever. It is bucketed. And so when you're low on a bucket, you got to fix that revenue stream. You can't take from other buckets. So that's what people generally don't understand. So the habitat program, we're going to have to reduce a little bit more there. But we still have our deer range improvement grants. So a couple dollars from each deer license goes into what we call DRIP, deer range improvement grants. That's been since the 50s, I think, when we started that. So that money also goes for deer habitat projects throughout the state. People can apply through application process, goes to partners. And then we have other grant programs that come and go, like we have invasive species each year. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, depending on what we get from the legislature. So that goes out to a lot of local communities to fight sometimes aquatic invasives, sometimes habitat, maybe it's Phragmites on, a wetland area, something like that. So there's about 2 million there in invasive species grants. And then we do a lot of partner grants. So if we can get a partner organization like Ducks Unlimited that, let's say they give us 100,000 for a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant, which is a federal grant, we can pull down 3 times that, right? Because you've got the 25% match, and we'll pull the 75% from the feds and then basically triple their money. So we're able to pull down federal money in a lot of different areas using partners, which we do a lot with Turkey Federation, all kinds of partners that we have. So we have like over 200. I wish I could name them all, but they're all fantastic, and we couldn't do the work that we do without leveraging their finances as well.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. I got a few more, and guys, I'm going to get debating because I got like 15 questions, and I'm not going to ask all 15 regarding
Come on,
baiting.
dude. I'm looking at the time.
I know. So what gives DNR probable cause to enter onto private land? What criteria hit that? I got that from about 3 or 4 people. So just
Sure.
clarification.
Yeah, this is a really hot topic across the country right now. It's called the open fields doctrine. So generally, most states, not every state has the same language, but the open fields principle is that if you believe that there is an issue, or you believe that there is an area where there was a complaint, or you see something or hear something, then the open field says, in order to honor basically the conservation model where you don't want people to poach animals or take animals, right? The whole population side of that as well. That's where that open fields doctrine, it shouldn't matter if it's public or private land, because wildlife don't care, right? They just go wherever. So that was sort of the impetus for open fields, was that the protection of wildlife and the North American model, which is very different than other countries. People are owned, or wildlife are owned by the people of the state. So it doesn't matter if they're on public or private land, it's everybody's wildlife. So there is a reason for that. I mean, it's part of the conservation model. But I know of late, there's been several states that have either lost their open fields opportunity or ability, or it's been reduced quite a bit. We actually just won an open fields case here in Michigan. It was a case in Southwest Michigan. We had a complaint, went on to property because there was a complaint, right? We get a complaint number when somebody calls the RAP line, the report all poaching hotline. And the officer went out to handle a dispute between a couple hunters, and it, went south. And that person was like, I don't want you on my property. And so that lawsuit ensued. And then we ended up winning that actually at the federal level, which was a really big, a big precedent for a lot of the states. I had a lot of them call me and say, how did you guys do that? What happened? And I think some of the difference is, if an officer sees something and they might go, versus, our officer actually had a call and a complaint through the hotline and had a reason to go there, right? I think potentially making some adjustments to the open fields could help us in certain ways, just like us having body cameras now helps a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I get a complaint on an officer, I just did it a couple weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago. Got a complaint, and I said, okay, thanks. Pulled the body cam footage. I don't think the person remembered that we had body cams, but I watched the whole thing on the issue, and it was actually in favor of our officer doing the correct thing. So just like having body cams, I think having, probable cause and a couple reasons to have warrants in certain situations, I don't think would be the worst thing. I think it would build some trust with the DNR as well, and help people know that, there is a reason, a conservation reason for them to be there. That's the North American model of wildlife management.
Okay. Ready to talk about baiting?
Go ahead, talk about baiting.
So we get this a lot. It was part of hunting for a lot of years, and now there's you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's models where you can recreational feed within X amount of distance of your home or a building, but you can't hunt. Just cover broad strokes of the rationale and research and data that goes into the decisions made regarding baiting, please.
Sure. So I'll start with feeding, just because they are different. And there was a recent piece of legislation that just passed a couple weeks ago that the governor signed, and that was to allow feeding in Michigan again. So there were, feeding opportunities for years, 80s, 90s. In 1995, tuberculosis was discovered in the deer herd in Northeast Michigan. That changed the feeding and baiting rules in that area, and ever since then have. Similar to the UP, although they are, allowed to bait now with the 2 gallons. So that's kind of where the change started, is when we got disease. We're only state in the nation with tuberculosis. It is a zoonotic disease that can transfer to humans, and we've seen that in a couple hunters that have cut themselves while gutting deer up in that area and contracted TB, but like 2 in my 30-year career. So it does happen, but not often. And then chronic wasting disease came along. So those 17 counties we have now with CWD, actually, we just got another new one, so 18. The feeding rules were suspended, obviously, in the lower peninsula because of a lot of the disease happening. So feeding is within the range of your house, basically where you could see, so within 300 feet. At the 2 gallon rate. And then baiting is, not near your house, basically where you're hunting in your hunting area, and taking an animal. So there's feedings, watching. Baiting is you're going to remove an animal, right? You're going to harvest an animal. So there's a little bit different and makeup of wording in statute. And right now with the feeding bill that just passed, there are still things that the Natural Resource Commission needs to outline in that regulation, so that the legislature made it legal, but the commission has authority over geographic areas of use. So they're going to have to decide where in the state that's going to be allowed. So I was just talking with the chair of the commission last week, and we were saying, hey, do you want to get this on the docket like this month, try to do it in a week, or should we do it next month and make sure folks know? So we're trying to fast track that because everybody's like, well, what does that mean, right? And we're on the deer season eve right now. Still no baiting for hunting right now in the lower peninsula, but there is in the upper peninsula.
Yeah. Well, good. Hopefully that satisfied the inquiries, because everyone's
It's not going to satisfy. I promise you it's not. And
I asked the question.
You asked the question.
Do you have a follow-up? Do you have a
No,
follow-up?
it's just because it's here's what I don't like, what the state jumping in over top of what you guys are doing. You guys have research behind what you're doing, and there's reasons why you're doing. And then the state comes in and says, no, you can feed them so you can wash them. It's no different than a hunter that's out feeding his. That's no different than a farmer that has a field out by my house that's just farming, and the deer are out there. They eat the same way. There's no different way they eat. We're not saving any of the deer's lives by doing it. You're going to hear all the same arguments. But there's research behind what you guys are doing, and the state to come in and do something that oversights what you do kind of just irritates me, because that's where the confusion comes in. And people are like, dude, I just want to hunt, and I want to be able to do what I'm doing. Why is it okay for the old lady to have bird seed out there or corn for the squirrels and the birds, and the deer are going to eat it, and they're going to eat it the same way. They're going to go nose to nose, and it's going to be no different. And that's the argument you're going to have from anybody that I hunt with. You know what I mean? But I understand that we're trying to take precautions, and we're trying to do things the right way. And I hope we get there fast, so we don't have the discrepancies on this, because I think that we are trying to do the right things, and I commend you guys for taking a stand. But then on the same note, make it illegal. Don't let the bird feeders be don't say it's okay for me to drop 5 gallons of
2 gallons. 2 gallons.
2.5. My buckets are weird, right? You know what I mean? And again, it doesn't matter. What's the difference if it's 2 gallons or 5 gallons? I know, devil's advocate. They eat nose to nose.
No, we're talking to Shannon.
Shannon, they come in. I can send you pictures. I will. I have your cell phone number now. I'll send you pictures. They come into my house and they eat the clover. When they're eating clover at my house, out of my clover field that I planted because I can't bait, they eat nose to nose still, and they eat. And then we can't stop an animal from being an animal, right? Yes. And as much as we want to try and control things, we got to get better at how we do things, and we have to do that collectively, and we all have to talk. So I think that's the big
Sure.
thing that I would like everybody to understand is like if you don't know the answers, and if you don't have the answers, ask the questions and be part of the solution then, instead of being part of the problem and saying
Well,
like,
that's
we don't want gray
you
areas.
actually just led me in without even doing it purposely.
No,
I
I
did
did
have, I had one last question for her.
There you go.
Do you guys have a forum where you take feedback from hunters on what they see in the field and in their feedback? Because obviously that's your customers, right? You always want your
Right.
customers' feedback. Did the burger tastes good? Yeah, same thing, right?
Right.
Do you have a forum for that?
Well, certainly.
We do. Yeah, we have a couple different ways. So electronically, of course, the mandatory harvest reporting, there's always an option for comments. We do read all those comments, and we generally use AI to group them all, but we do say, okay, we got 30,000 comments on baiting, or, so we know what's coming in. We also have the Natural Resource Commission, where folks can come, and the department directors there, I'm there, the chiefs of each division are there. And so anytime the public comes, the public forum where they come up and they can talk 3 minutes and say, what their question is, or what they're upset about. And a lot of times, the commission or the director will say, hey, the fish chief will talk to you in the hallway, and we'll get that cleared up for you. Or if it's a great idea for a new regulation or a way to simplify a regulation, which we're always looking for in fisheries, right? They're sometimes really wicked complex. So that's a really good public forum if people want to see what is, and you can watch again on YouTube if you want to see what is being asked and what is on everybody's mind that publicly people are talking about. And then, of course, we have our social media sites as well. Once in a while, we'll put out a question about deer, or we'll put information about feeding, hey, this just happened. And then when we get comments, we have people that go through all the comments and try to answer if there's questions about, the regulation. And then our deer specialist, Brent Rudolph, fantastic guy, used to be our deer specialist, went to Rough Grouse Society, and now is back. I said, I don't know who would want to do that twice, but here he is. So his door is always open. Email him. He's at all the commission meetings as well. Chad Stewart, who was our previous deer specialist, also very, fields a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails. So we're readily available. I mean, even on this waterfowl change last week, I took dozens and dozens of phone calls. Somebody put my cell number on Facebook page that they had. So I ended up getting just dozens of calls.
That's how we connected.
Now I'll make
Right. I'll tell you though, if they just call and spam me, don't generally call back. If they call and leave me a message like, hey, I really need to talk to you about this. Like, I don't understand. I will take time and I will call them. It might take me a minute because I got a lot of calls, but I want people to understand. I really, really do. And that's one of the reasons I came on here. And I will tell you, Senator John Cherry is the one that said, you should really go chat with these guys. It's a good platform for them to ask questions and for the public to hear what we're doing and why is the big one. So, yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for your time. It was a pleasure. And if anything, especially in the funding, you shed some light on what.
I do have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one more question.
You didn't have any all night. So
no, I've been waiting because you've been hogging the mic.
Okay, go ahead.
So, but I do have my buddy, and again, this goes on to as technology changes in hunting and the game cams and the thermal cam.
Okay, yeah.
So, I do have people out there that, and I think I know the answer because I did a lot of research because I don't want to be illegal either. So if you have a thermal cam, is it illegal to hunt with that cam during regular daylight hunting hours?
No,
it's not.
Nope. You can use it during daylight. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Regular shooting hours. Yep.
Right. Okay. So, because I'd heard otherwise, so we wanted to put that to bed, and I said I'm going to put it to bed tonight because I have a friend coming on who's going to be able to explain this to us. And again, I think it's a good question because at first I was like, oh man, my thermal works during the day. We use it for coyote hunting. I can use it during. I guess it's on a 6.5 platform. I could deer hunt with it if I wanted to. they were arguing with me that you couldn't, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you definitely can. I mean, as long as you're shooting it during regular, well, what's the difference? I mean,
Yeah.
all right, thank you
Right.
for telling me that.
Problems.
Yeah, now you can go
Yeah.
ahead and promote your business.
Well, I feel like I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I love the part about talking about the funding, because I don't think people realize the importance of it, and that it's to give back and improve and make it a better experience for everybody. So I think I'm gonna go buy a bunch of licenses for species I don't even plan to hunt, just to help.
You don't already?
I actually do some. I mean, I put in.
I do a lot because I don't
Yeah.
really actually know what I'm ever going to kill at my house. So I'm like, every once in a while, I'll go on. There'll a rabbit go by, and I'll be like, I wish I had my small game license. Never said it at my house. If the rabbit goes by, we're having rabbit soup.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a good recipe for rabbit bratwurst the other day.
Nice.
They're really good. I know. And then again, you wouldn't know until you tried it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll thank you so much. And like I said, I think it was good information. Is there anything else you want to leave with, or anything we didn't touch that you?
I think those were the hot topics for now. If you guys ever want to have me on again, if another hot topic comes up that you really want to hear direct from the source here, definitely willing to do that. I have people that call me and try to write their own articles and things like that, which is okay, but I'd much rather just talk and have people hear me directly
Yeah.
on what's happening at the department. So I appreciate that.
I don't know if we'll ever do this platform again because I don't know if I can handle myself just from my own ego to look at the deer in the background.
Next time
You
you
guys
go
are
to
just
the
jumping.
office.
You offered to change it earlier.
I know, yeah. I was like, dude, I'd never shot a buck as big as any of the ones in their background. So like, I'm like just sitting here going, I'm not doing anything right, and I just got to listen to every word she says, and then taking it all in, taking it.
First steps, buy your license.
Yeah, I bought my license every year since 1984.
Good. Yeah, and if we have charts, we made cheat sheets for a lot of the Conservation Coalition folks, which are our big groups. If you want to see where we rank nationally, on license buying power, it's pretty low actually. A $20 deer tag is kind of unheard of in the Midwest anymore. I mean, most of them are, 46, 56, 68, 72, right around here, our surrounding states. So it's pretty low compared to a lot of the states. And then our waterfowl license, I was just talking to one of our legislators today because of the waterfowl reduction in staffing, but $12 for a waterfowl license. And
Yeah,
that's what I normally
that's
don't
the
buy.
thing. That's a
I normally don't even buy them.
Not only to fill up your gas tank, you blow that when you walk into the convenience store
I'm
without
not
even
very good.
blinking.
I'm terrible at shooting clay pigeons, let alone ducks.
Yeah.
So I never tried, but I'm going to start buying them just so I can contribute, right? I mean,
And I think Michigan overall, as far as licenses purchased, we rank either third or fourth, right behind. I know Texas is the king at number one. I think Pennsylvania's two,
Yes.
and it's either Michigan or Wisconsin or 3 and 4 in that particular order. Is that right? Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep. We dropped down to fourth now, I think, but yeah, we were in third place for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, let's work on getting you back up.
Yes.
there you go.
That'd be great.
Or the podcast.
Or the podcast.
Well, thanks again, Shannon. It was a pleasure having you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys. Much
Yeah.
appreciated.
We have some formalities we do on the podcast every week. We have a few things we do, like grind my gears, and you want to be part of that?
If you want, sure.
Oh yeah. Well, let's do
I
it.
was thinking I want to look at her bucks a little bit more. This one up
All
there
right.
looking at the other buck.
Okay.
Like, dude, I don't know who her taxidermist is, but he's pretty damn good.
Okay. What do you want to start with? Grind my gears top 5.
Let's start with grind my gears.
Okay, I'll go right off
I
the
can
bat.
do it. Grind my gears. Easy.
I can too. I never go to Starbucks, and this is why. The only time I do is when I have to meet people. I had to meet someone for business day. 15 minutes, and I get a black coffee, small black coffee. I actually had to walk up and tell them, I think you forgot about it.
They said no.
No, she did. Yeah, I totally did.
Oh, she did. Oh, I thought she was still
Every
growing,
time I
growing
go
the
there,
beans.
that drives me nuts. It's a black coffee. I mean, just go over and fill it real quick, but they got to go through their process every time, and it's like a thing. And it's like, this is the simplest thing on the menu. Just do it. That's why I don't go there. I only go there when
I don't go there because it's $8 a coffee.
I only go there when people have
his own.
and they say they have to meet me there. So that's my grand gear.
I will get a McDonald's coffee and walk into Starbucks.
Oh gosh, yeah. What's yours?
Oh, dude, when you have somebody come on your program and you're like ready to do the program, and you got your game face on your phone, and then you see 25 of the biggest bucks you've ever seen in your life behind that person, and you cannot concentrate the whole show because you're like, these hunters are real hunters. I don't feel like I have the ability to ask her a question. Grinds my gears.
Obviously, that just came up.
Yeah, I had something way different earlier, but I was like, dude, I don't know, I totally fucked my day up.
Shannon, do you have a grind my gears? Just something to.
I do.
All
I
right,
do.
Please share.
My biggest one is when people go on social media and post things before they look for the facts or ask.
Yes.
So that's why I do appreciate y'all. And very rarely if they talk to me later and like, oh, whoops, I posted that and it wasn't right. They don't go back generally.
Yeah, never say
No,
sorry.
no.
They never say sorry. Sorry,
So
Shannon.
that's hard because, it takes 7 positive to outweigh every negative comment. And we get dug deeper in a hole every time people don't do their homework before that. So that's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, me with that.
I totally can get behind that too.
Yeah.
You got a top 5?
Bro, I always got a top.
Okay, so this is a top 5. Mine are always really good based on facts for the most part. Is there sometimes opinion? We actually last episode we had first time we ever had a sweep where we didn't get any wrong. But I will say this: there was mulligans granted that time, so I still don't feel like it was clean.
It's pretty clean. It wasn't.
So you and I get to team up when he asks me a top 5. You and him get to team up when I ask him the top 5. Okay. So
I feel like I got an easy one for it.
well, okay, give me a
All right.
layup.
All right, so here we go. This is the layup. Top 5 candy bars in the United States.
Top 5 candy bars. So you and I worked out. Do you agree on Snickers should be on that list?
Yes.
Snickers.
Snickers is number 1.
Number 1. Milky Way. How do you feel about Milky Way?
Yeah.
Top 5. That
Man, you messed it up already.
Milky Way's not top 5.
Milky Way is not a top 5.
Okay.
Hershey's.
Hershey's is number 5.
Okay, so we got
number 1, number 5.
1 and 5. Your little thing just shifted. He's only got good looking guys in the screen.
Oh man, dude, what the hell? How did it switch to?
It must have been a hand gesture.
Son of a gun! I gotta move over here now. Hang on.
We have an AI thing, so
I have an AI camera. That's my camera guy. That's all I can afford.
Okay, so we got 1 and 5. We got 1 and 5. We've got Snickers. We got Hershey's. How do you feel about Kit Kat? I think it's very popular.
It's number 3.
Kit Kat.
Ooh.
So we got 1, 3, and 5. So now think about.
I don't eat candy bars. That's the thing. This is tough for me.
Bro.
I know. Do you think Baby Ruth would be on there?
Baby Ruth or Payday? No.
He's already telling us no. Let's keep thinking.
Let's think about making s'mores, and we already got Hershey's. What
Yeah.
else do you like to make with your s'mores?
I've seen peanut butter cups. Does that qualify?
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Peanut butter
Number
cup?
2.
Number 2. So we got 1 left.
So then one left has got a chocolatey wafer crunch to it. That should be all you need.
Again, I don't eat a lot of candy bars. Chocolatey.
It's known for the crunch, cookie based.
Oh, Butterfinger.
No, it's
No.
good.
Good guess.
It's topped with
Wafers.
soft caramel and chocolate.
Soft. I want to talk with a crunch.
Yeah, it's got caramel.
I'm
in it.
drawing a blank.
Got a crunch.
I'm drawing a blank.
Suckers. You know you got this.
What does it start with?
You snap it.
Oh, Twix.
Yeah, there you
Twix.
go.
Twix bars. Yeah, you're right. That
Twix
was
and Kit Kat are kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
yeah. So
Okay,
okay,
you're moving all your hands up.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to operate it.
Until you did.
That's all right.
Had a bad arm, guy. Came in.
If anything, we're authentic.
Yeah, fucking A.
So I want to ask you. This is according to Health Digest.
Great. I read this all the time.
The top 5 things that age you the fastest. Work with your partner. You got a chance for a sweep because I think this is pretty easy.
Lack of sleep.
Sun.
Sleep deprivation is number 2.
You so what sun? She said.
I'm sorry, you said what?
Sun.
Sun.
Sun exposure? Are
Yeah.
you final answer?
Yeah.
You're not going to get a sweep. That actually came in at number 6. We're going
Well,
top 5.
I'm mad at you.
You were close.
So okay. So stress. We did sleep deprivation.
We,
So it would be-
we didn't say stress. You
So
said sleep.
stress.
Chronic stress is number 3.
3. Okay. I'm some 2 and
Yikes.
3.
You got 2 and 3.
I'm needing you now. I'm leading on
Okay.
you. I'm leading on you. I should have asked.
Genetics.
No, these are things you do to yourself.
Oh,
A lot of
oh,
bad habits in here.
oh,
There's bad-
alcohol,
there's three bad.
smoking's number one, probably.
Smoking.
Smoking is number one, and I'm
There
going to
you
give you
go.
alcohol is number five. So you're missing number four. Again, something you choose to do to yourself.
Drugs.
No, drugs is not on there.
Why not?
I'm just, I'm not talking to
Seems
the editor.
Okay, so something bad. So
This is a habit that's day to day.
and
Some
this-
people have a very poor one. Some people have a good one. Some people
Diet.
have poor diet's number four.
Yeah.
So that top five, smoking's number one, sleep deprivation is number two, chronic stress number three, poor diet number four, alcohol number
and
five.
here I am. To live another day.
Uh,
And
That's
we
great.
have every week's most anticipated portion of the episode.
Oh, you have the button over there.
Yeah, we can't play it on
I
there,
can't
but that's
play
all
it.
right. We gotta work on our audio. B Money's what if?
B-Money's what if.
So I got a good one for both of you, and you can take a minute, let him go first, digest this. But if you had to give a TED talk on any one random topic of your choice,
TED Talk.
a TED talk.
What is a TED Talk?
TED talk?
Yeah.
You know what TED talk is?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, glad you know.
It's
It's almost like an elevator speech, like
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Who's Ted though?
what does TED actually stand for? Do you know?
I don't, but it's a big technology way
Yeah.
of describing new things and yeah.
So you get to get up there any topic and you're speaking to this audience.
Okay.
Random topic. What topic are you picking?
To do a TED Talk
Yeah.
about being positive about life and being a positive person, and then positive things follow you, and you get positive outcomes when you bring positive energy.
You want to just keep going, do your TED talk right now?
I feel like that's what my TED Talk would be about, is being positive, because I think that too many people are negative. Like you said earlier about being online. They get online and they look for the negative stuff because that barks more of a reaction. When you're positive, people just give you a heart. You know what I mean? And they don't necessarily say I agree with you or whatever, but they'll heart it. But they'll go, there's nothing to say there. I'll move on. Right. But when you do the dumb shit and the rhetoric, you get what I want to be positive. I don't know. What's your TED Talk?
What's your TED talk, Shannon?
Hmm. That would be a tough one for me.
He
Maybe
kind of
life.
stole mine a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Because
It
mine
was yours.
Well, no. It was going to be a little bit different about the importance of most of your circumstances are a culmination of a ton of decisions you've made in your life.
Yes.
So if you don't like your circumstances, start changing the decisions you made. It basically put the responsibility back on yourself.
I was just going to say life lessons.
You took
Life
a little
lessons.
different approach to it than I did.
Yeah, I think
Positive,
we're all
but we
there.
kind of were saying the same thing. So now you're up, Shannon. You better not be anything.
No
to say.
pressure.
No, I was going to say life lessons. There's so much that I learned from at a young age from hunting and fishing and being in that arena from my dad and my grandfather, but also playing sports is a really big thing for, leadership and teamwork and positivity and decision making. And I played college basketball and softball, and I was a point guard. So a lot of decision making and a lot of leadership kind of started there as well in sports. So a lot of the life lessons I learned were from being a part of something, bigger than yourself. So, and a lot of kids these days don't necessarily want to do that. They learn by their phone, right? A lot of what they learn is what they read on their phone. So not thinking they need any social interaction with real people. They get a false sense of reality. And so mine would be to try to get people to try to engage with others to get life lessons through that. So
I
that's
like
what
that.
it did for me.
We just did a ton of improvement for a lot of human beings. They did in the last 3 minutes.
I feel like we need to have her back on, because I just feel like there's so much more.
Oh, there was. That's the
That I was like, I want to know the other part of Shannon.
where did you play at, Shannon?
I played at Huntington University, which is a private school in Indiana, just outside of Fort Wayne,
Okay.
before I transferred to Grand Valley State for my wildlife degree. And didn't play there. I should have, because that year the girls went 19-0 and I wasn't there. I was trying to get a dual major and was taking like 23 credit hours a semester, and most folks take 12 as full time. So I didn't play, and I should have, but I played softball too at the private school. So that's the same league, if you know anything about Michigan, Indiana, like
The Galactic League.
Hope, Adrian, Spring Arbor,
Yep.
Albion, Olivet, NAI
few.
Division two.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Are
it's
you
funny.
a-
Oh, go
Are you
ahead.
originally a Hoosier? Is that where you're from?
No, I'm from Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
appreciate
funny.
that about you.
My husband, we actually went to high school together, and I hold the record for the number of 3-pointers in a game for women, and he holds it for men.
Oh,
Nice.
still to this day, is it
This is
still active?
awesome. That is
Mhm.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So you said you're in the Bath area. You know what Bath's like, the big thing Bath's known for?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm in the Weberville area, but not
Okay,
far
whatever.
from that.
You said Bath. I don't know. I'm just, my son's going to MSU, so like I've studied all the places down there. So
Yes. Yes. Well, that's where we saw the cougars. Some of the cougar sightings were in Bath, but yeah, just
no
north of
shit.
here.
In
So
that.
yeah, but it's someone's pet, most likely.
yeah,
We think.
yeah.
Let's say
I'm scared. I don't want a cougar to. I don't want that kind of cougar to jump on me, sticking out of a tree from 40 feet away.
So what do you know about Bath?
No, just no. I worked in Lansing for a while because I worked for General Motors. That's my real job. And then the Bath has got the school attendant that was the Mad Bomber. That's what Bath
Back in like the 30s.
Yes, it's a wild story.
Yeah.
And I hate that story, but it's a wild story. Like the time that guy took and like the deviant, like that was wild.
That's
Yeah.
the worst school accident in history, actually, still.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I tell my kids that all the time. We're like, we're going through Bath. They're like, what's in Bath? And I was like, you don't want to talk about it. That shit. It's crazy. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much for coming on, Shane.
Yeah. No, it's absolute pleasure.
Yeah, and like I said, as things develop and whatnot, I would love to have you back again and talk. Maybe less Brandon questions. You know, because he kind of hammered you there for a minute, man. But just to find out what's going on and keep me updated and keep our listeners updated, it'd be great to hear from you.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, as new initiatives get passed, I might just hit you up on text just to report in. To let our viewers know.
It could be a 5-minute call. It doesn't have to be like, I don't have to look at the wall of Chad Shane behind you.
No, that's fine. Even in spring, turkey season's actually my favorite. I have a bunch of took my kids hunting and stuff this year, and a couple guests, and we have turkey tails drying in here too. So
Oh, nice.
I've got a table of turkey tails, and I actually went to Mexico this year. I'm going after my Grand Slam, and I got my ocellated turkey, which is absolutely beautiful. If you've ever seen them, that look like basically a peacock.
Yeah, they're
turkey.
so cool looking. Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm going back to Mexico next year for the Goulds. That'll be my other one.
What part of Mexico do you do the hunting in then for that?
Chihuahua. So it's in the Yucatan Peninsula.
How far is that?
On the east side.
Quite a ways, other side.
Other side of the state. Okay.
Yeah, not far from like Cancun. It's kind of in the middle of the Yucatan, whereas Cancun's on the edge. But yeah, it was quite a hunt. So turkey hunting's my favorite. So if we ever want to talk turkeys, I can definitely come back.
Yeah. All right, I hear your turkey calls. The turkey whisperer.
Thanks again to Narski's Meat Market in Elger, Michigan.
I have Financial Plus in Flint, Michigan.
And Spirit of the Great Lakes Tequila.
Spirit of the Great Lakes Tequila.
We're going to sign out. Just hold on for a second. We're going to sign out. God bless everyone.
Oh, yep. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So, again, thanks again, Shannon. It was awesome having you on.
Yeah. Sure.